Hello and welcome to another instalment of the Full Force Monthly, brought to you by Hoardar, the Collector's app. I am Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80, and in this regular series we get stuck into specific G.I. Joe related topics with different special guest hosts, or the same ones, every single month. So who's joining me on this episode? I think you already know. First up, we have one half of the Articulated Points YouTube channel and my regular co-host on the Full Force Weekly. It's Patrick Notpicard Stewart, and guess who's back again for the fifth time in a row. Yes, it's the General himself, Justin Generals Jones, but I am counting.
I know, you're like, when can I get rid of this guy?
I was literally counting, and then I think we've got the quota. We've got the year in.
You've hit max Generals Joes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Last month we looked at some of our most wanted G.I. Joe classified animal companion sets on the Cobra team, so this month it's the Joe's turn. Throw in another version therapy and you've got yourselves a brand new episode of, what is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Monthly.
It is the Full Force Monthly. First off, how's everybody doing? We'll start with Pat, who just told us what episode it is.
I'm doing just fine. You know, it's just been a very busy month, hasn't it?
Yes.
It really has.
Yes. I think for everybody. It's been crazy. But we've still managed to squeeze these in, and we're getting this early in the month, by the way, so I'm quite happy about that. Justin, how are you, mate? Also busy?
Yeah, really crazy. I mean, the day job is nuts, and, you know, the ramp up to Christmas is always an adventure. You know, so I mean, just...
How is it Christmas?
I don't know. It's like 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from Sunday is Christmas. I can't even believe it.
It was Halloween yesterday, wasn't it?
I know.
I feel like I went to sleep for like a month. I feel like I hibernated for like 2 months. That is unbelievable.
It's insane.
Wasn't it Yojo June a little while ago? I'm sure.
Seems like it. Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, I'm still doing. I'm doing name only deep dive episodes about Yojo June reveals that either I'm really far behind. Yep. Anyway, right. That's all the pleasantries sorted. No one cares about how we're doing. They just want to hear us talk crap about animals. Right. So last month
I didn't know that was this kind of show, or this was that kind of show.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I did.
Of course, you've been on it 5 times in a row now.
I know damn well what I've gotten into.
Yeah, last time we looked at Cobra animal companions and had a blast doing so. So now it's time for the Joes. Let's get stuck into that then, shall we, lads? Right then, people, we are talking animal companions again this month. Each presenter has chosen a classic figure and animal companion duo they would like to see in the classified series, specifically for the Joes. Okay, let's get stuck in then with Justin's choice first. Take us through your choice, bud, and all the reasons why you've chosen them.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, you know, as we kind of talked about the Cobra side of things, you know, upon first thinking about it, you don't realize just how many Joes with animal companions there are out there. And so at first I was like, well, this is a home run, you know, it's going to be an easy choice. But then you start thinking about it a little bit more hard, and you're like, oh, there's actually a lot of cool stuff out there. And what I ended up going with is Law and Order.
Hey.
You know, originally released in 1987, the Joe military policeman came with his trusty German Shepherd Order. I loved the unique kind of naming convention, how the human is law and the dog is order, and they kind of combined to Law and Order, and the whole
they tried it the other way. They tried it the other way, but it didn't work.
Didn't work. That's right. See, the exchange they had in an animated movie was great. You know, I have a real affinity for some of those characters, mostly because of the animated movie. You know, that core group of, you know, rawhides or whatever was just. I really loved how they portrayed them. I love how Sunbow has this knack to like look at a file card and just kind of throw it out the window and do whatever the heck they want to do, and it's great, you know. And I think the way they operate off of each other was really fantastic in that animated movie. And then he's appeared somewhat, you know, throughout the comics as well. But and really what I really want to see is, you know, a fully articulated Order. I just think that he's got a real potential to be a very cool animal figure, just posable like Timber is. You know, I'd see him probably using a slightly different tooling than Timber. Obviously, you know, a wolf and a German Shepherd aren't quite the same thing, so I would hope they would do something a little bit different with Law and Order. But I think there's just a lot of potential for a really cool combination there, like a deluxe figure with Law and his animal companion, and they could even like give him sort of, you know, the 30th anniversary Law and Order had like kind of this like harness that went over Order,
yeah,
with the
like a
pouches on it
yeah.
and stuff, and like a bomb collar. I think it'd be really awesome if they included some of that stuff with Order, made it removable, because, you know, if just in case you want to have him without it. But just like how Crocmaster included all these little extras that kind of came with him and Fiona, I think it'd be really cool if they did something like that with Law and Order. So yeah, that's my choice, Law and Order.
Fantastic choice. Removable helmet on
yeah,
on Order.
On Order, yeah. Both. They should come with matching white helmets, and Orders could have like little slits so it fits over his ears or something. That'd be fantastic.
I'd switch it up. I'd have the human wearing the dog vest, but nothing else, nothing else, all out on show. And I'd have the dog with the helmet on and Law's clothes on. I think that'd be hilarious.
That'd be fantastic.
No, that's a really good shout. And also a lot of good opportunities for some repaints there, because obviously Law, even though Order wasn't, Law was a Sonic Fighter, wasn't he?
Right.
Or
yeah, he was.
Was it Super Sonic Fighter?
Supersonic Fighter,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
No, Law was a regular one, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a regular one.
Oh,
okay. Regular Sonic Fighter.
DEF as well, without Order.
True.
Yeah,
yep.
you know,
well, not DEF, but DEF.
Well, Battle Core. Yeah, it was DEF, but not named DEF.
It's funny, isn't it, how with Mutt, he pretty much came with Junkyard almost every single time, but Law didn't always come with Order. Like, you know, it took a while. It took us quite a while to get another Order again, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, like, because they had the. Did Order appear anywhere between 87 and what was it, 2002, when they did that Real American Hero collection at Toys R Us? I think that was.
I don't think so. Yeah, there was a pretty big gap.
That was the next time he appeared. One thing that'd be cool with Classified, though, if they did do a Sonic Fighter repaint and they still wanted to have him include Order, make him like an Order that was accurate to the movie deco, you know, a more gray color or something like that. That'd be a pretty cool tie-in.
I love the animation when he's doing the bomb hunt in the kind of training session. And when he comes on the screen, the animation is gorgeous. I mean, he looks like a wolf for one, doesn't he? But the way they and when he kind of like does that thing where he goes around Beachhead just before he runs off to get the bomb.
There's
just
those
so
little
good.
touches just look so. I don't know what's different about, you watch not just that movie, but a lot of different animated features. You can pick out scenes that just look like they were animated better than other scenes, and I don't really know the explanation for that. If it's the individual that did like the keyframe animation or whatever for that, you know, 5-minute segment or whatever, but some stuff just looks so natural. And that, you're right, that whole time with Order kind of snaking around Beachhead and the movement, it was just really smooth. It was a really cool moment in that movie. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I love that. That would be really cool to get. And also when he puts his hands on his head like that, when is it when they're in they had the crash in the helicopter? Maybe no, they can't start the helicopter, isn't it? They can't start the Tomahawk.
I think it's something like that.
Like that. Yeah, it's so adorable. These animal companions are great, and they really don't get enough. I mean, Timber and Polly probably get the most. They get the most kind of on-screen stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Junkyard got like a whole episode and stuff, but I still feel like Order and although we don't, did we see Order again after the movie? I don't think we do we?
No, I don't think we do.
No,
the movie is pretty much the only place he appeared.
It's really just Polly, a bit of Freedom in the first couple of episodes of the first series, and then and a couple of Junkyard, isn't there? But yeah, I feel like they didn't use them enough for the cartoon. That's awesome though. Great shout, bud. Would you I get excited at the thought of after getting Law and Order kind of standard, if they did a Sonic Fighters on a retro card and redid all of that art, that, you know, like, as cool. They do for Marvel Legends and all the other ones. That would be so much fun, because that's something I feel like the retro card series could really excel at, is rather than just do the same card over and over again, is to delve into all those ones that we haven't seen yet, and that would be perfect for Law.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I'd love it.
The vibrant.
I'd like them to fit Order on there, though. Maybe that would be the way that they could do like the animated and the regular Order.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. And that would be, you're right. It'd be a great way to get a redeco of Order and add him into like what I feel is kind of like missing from that figure. The fact he doesn't have Order, it made me sad actually when that came out, because I thought, are they trying to tell us that Order's passed away? And
Yeah.
no, that's what it felt like. But yeah. Anyway, enough of that. Enough Law and Order. We're not here to discuss old TV shows that are probably still running. In fact, when you say Law and Order, I'm just going to go gung, gung.
Well, I was searching for different versions of Law and Order, and like every time I did a Google search, I'm like, I got to put G.I. Joe in there because you just put Law and Order, and all you see is the stupid TV show.
There's so many of them as well.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite episode of Community, the Law and Order one. God, that's funny. Anyway, actually, I shouldn't say that. My favorite episode of Community is the G.I. Joe one. Obviously,
G.I. Joe one, yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
Yeah, actual fact, that is a brilliant episode of Community.
I think that's the only full episode of Community I ever watched.
Oh,
I've heard it's a very good show, but I haven't watched a whole lot of it.
It was
just
like
that one.
it was one of those, you know, like it used to be The Simpsons, and then it was Family Guy for me. One of those shows that you put on in the background, and it becomes like comfort. It's like a comforting background kind of thing, like visually, audibly, and that's what Community turned into for me. I must have watched it about 20 times through, and there's a lot of seasons as well. It's crazy. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Animal Companions. My fault, guys. Sorry. Justin, great start on that one. Law and Order is a definite, and I do expect that to happen. Well, actually, Pat, have you got any more thoughts on Law and Order?
No, not really much of anything to add. I think that the bar really was set with Timber, and so getting another dog in there to me makes a lot of sense. And I think that Mutt is probably the really obvious choice, Mutt and Junkyard. So I think some of this later stuff is a little under-visited.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to get Law and Order for sure. And the fact that he appears in the movie, I think boosts the character a lot. And yeah, I think we probably would have seen more of Order in the Deke series afterward had they actually just released the figure with the Sonic Fighter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Very good point.
If he hadn't died, you know.
The fact
if Cobra hadn't shot him.
The fact that we see orange tan road pig in the Deke series and not Order is a sad state of affairs. I'm kidding. I love that. I do love that road pig, by the way. That's just hilarious.
That's true. The Supersonic Fighters appear in the Deke series, but do the Sonic Fighters?
I don't think so. I don't remember. No, I don't recall because it was Zap and Psy-Cow, or am I? Is that Supersonic Fighters?
No, those are Supersonic Fighters.
Those are super, yeah.
So
yeah, and Rock and Roll and Major Blood, but yeah, the Sonic Fighters like Tunnel Rat,
yeah,
Dial Tone, Law,
Viper, right? He was a regular.
Yeah, Viper and Lamprey. They don't appear
at all. So. I don't think at all. No. In actual fact, Law and Order. Does anyone agree that it would be awesome to get maybe Law and Order, but with the Checkpoint Alpha?
That would be very cool. Yeah.
Do you know, like, or not even together, but if they did the Checkpoint Alpha in Classified, I feel like Law and Order would be perfect for that set. Even if they did it as like a complete thing, like a complete set, or if they did it like, you know, just around the same time so they could be utilized together. Because that's something I think those two go together perfectly, don't they?
Yeah, kind of. It kind of feels like when you're working Checkpoint Alpha, you're on guard duty and you're being punished. So maybe Falcon should be in Checkpoint Alpha.
Maybe we could get Supersonic Fighters Falcon, correct?
Falcon.
Or did I get that wrong as well? See, I'm really poor on my Sonic and Supersonic. They all lump into the same thing in my head, and I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. We'll get because he'd be punished because he's got to wear his pajamas as well, right? His digital camo pajamas.
Right. Well, and if he's supersonic, then he's the drug addict too. So I mean, that's from the Headhunters episode.
True. So. Oh my God, Falcon is the worst.
He is.
It's a shame because I really do like that figure, and yeah, but somehow they always make him out to be like the worst character ever. Anyway, that's enough of Law and Order chat. Let's move on, Pat, to your next one. We don't know what it is because you haven't said yet already. Who have you got for the Joes, buddy?
Well, I kind of was thinking similar to what Justin was going with. I think that we talked about Mutt, but I didn't want to go that way because I just kind of feel like Mutt's around the corner anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what we talk about. So I kind of wanted to think about some of the stuff that's a little more undervisited. And so I'm right around in that era with Justin, but mine's a 1988 figure with Spearhead and Max.
Nice.
Yeah, Spearhead and Max, I think they're a really great one to visit because they're the bar was set for sure with timber, and there's no way Max would be that large because that would be wrong.
True.
But I think that they could still squeeze a lot of articulation into a little bobcat that would be included in the package. And who wouldn't want to have that? I think that that would be really cool. I'm a dog person in real life, but I also like cats. And I think that it would just be neat to have another Max.
Did you just tell everyone you're a werewolf?
What?
Did you just tell everybody that you're a werewolf? I'm a dog. Yeah, you just said you're a dog person. I'm just like
part dog, part person.
Yeah, is that what you say?
There are cat people or dog people. I'm a dog person.
If you move Pat's camera down, you'll see a pair of dog legs where his human legs should be, and a little tail.
Takes all of his self-control not to like wag his tail and knock all this stuff over on the shelves behind him. He's got to sit on it.
Sorry, Pat. Carry on.
Okay. Yeah. So cats, they're cool too.
Yeah, they
is
are.
what I'm trying to say. And I do think that it'd be neat to see a Max included, but that's not to say that it wouldn't be also nice to see Spearhead. I think that it has a neat design. There are some things from the original design that were kind of dropped, like a visor on his helmet, that I would like to see revisited.
Awesome.
That was something that I don't think that they included where they released him in the where the club did a Spearhead. I don't think that they were reusing parts for the most part on those figures anyway, so they were kind of limited as to what they could and couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I think there's only the 4 of them that have ever been released, right? There's the modern and vintage, standard and Night Force. So that makes 4 figures, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
It would be really neat. He's definitely one that if they did something like brand new, like what they were doing where they first started Classified, it would be really neat to just see a brand new interpretation of Spearhead.
Yeah. I would love that.
Same.
I love Spearhead as a character. I'm not a huge fan of the way his figure is designed. I think there's some really cool elements to it, but I would love to see them kind of revisit that idea of like a guy who's at the point, at the front of the line, with maybe some more modern equipment or something. I mean, I don't
with
know.
his cat.
Yeah,
his cat. Yeah.
There's some weird execution of some of the stuff in the design.
Exactly. Yeah. I think
there's
conceptually it was great. Yeah.
The proportions are a bit off, aren't they? Because the head's small, the helmet's massive, the gun, the rifle's gigantic. So yeah, like they could easily fix those immediately. Yeah,
which is one of the reasons why even if you stuck with the original design, that it would be really nice to go back to the way that the concept was and to try to hit that again, because it's a tall helmet. And that strap is cool, but it really kind of gets in the way a lot on the vintage figure. He's got a huge handle on the gun too.
Yeah,
weird stuff on that figure.
It's like they just kept adding stuff to it, but also it was too big in the first place. It's like the rifle. It's like he's literally holding a 2-up rifle.
It's pretty large.
It is.
Yeah, and it has like a weird suppressor on the end.
I think
that interesting sword that has like an edge, it's like a border on it instead of a blade.
It's really weird. It's like a pineapple. It's like a slice of pineapple on a handle. It's so weird. I know it's not, but it's interesting. But again, you could definitely go to town on those details. But then like the knife could actually be housed somewhere, sheathed.
It'd be really cool if it sheathed into his backpack.
Big time. The backpack could have a peg on it for the rifle as well. There's some cool stuff that you could definitely incorporate with Spearhead, definitely.
And I would think Spearhead's one of those figures that people, they like Spearhead, but I also think they wouldn't like throw an absolute fit if he got a little bit of a redesign for Classified. I think he's one of those they could get away with that.
I think redesign would be fine. I also think if they just did it as a figure that you like proportionally correct, like they have done, they've hit that proportion. I think with every single figure so far in the line. I haven't looked anything on that's a bit weird size wise. Like everything is like correct proportionally. So I think if they were to do Spearhead just normally, that would also be a check for me. But then, like you say, if there's an update there, then great. And also, like you said before, Pat, Night Force opportunity. So there's obviously that rumor going around that the next Walmart theme could be something along those lines. So it could be a figure that we see sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the fact that he's included in such a beloved sub-team will bring him closer to the front of the line as far as characters to be done. Because it really does seem like as far as classic G.I. Joe goes, anything 82 through 86 gets attention first.
Yeah.
And he's pretty far out there at 88. But he's Night Force, so yeah. And I'm looking at the card art and realizing that he actually, in the card art, he has his machete, if that's what we want to call it, on his hip.
Pineapple machete, yeah.
His pineapple machete, yes. It's on his hip. So I don't know how that's supposed to attach, but if they were to do a classic one, for sure that would be something that I would want, is to see a way to get it to attach there.
That would be cool.
Sorry, I'm interested to see the pineapple machete in action again, because, oh yeah, it is as well. Oh, it's kind of strapped.
I never really noticed it.
It's almost there, strapped onto his thigh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have never in my life. I must have looked at that card art a million times, and I have never noticed that knife just behind his right thigh, ever. That's so cool.
I don't think that I don't really ever think that I've paid that much close attention to the art either. But if they were able to nail the way that he looks in his card art as a brand new sculpted figure, that would be a win for sure.
And also, I've got to say, the head sculpt's gorgeous too. He's a very awesome head sculpt on that figure. Well, the actual figure itself. The actual head itself is really cool with the kind of the brown wavy hair. Yeah, like just really cool. I like, kind of parted.
It is, but then once you get that helmet on again,
it's like he's wearing the pineapple on his head, and he's got the pineapple machete.
Like he has another hand grenade that if he needs it, he just reaches up in there. And...
It's amazing.
So what are we thinking about how they represent the fact that he was an insurance salesman? Like, what should he come with to? I don't know. You could sell a term policy to a dead cow, is what Larry Hama says on the file card. That's awesome.
I love these. We talked about this last time, didn't we? About the fact that the one sentence can literally define a character. The way that Larry writes them, anyway. That one sentence just defines a character. It's incredible, and this is definitely an example of that. 100%. I don't know. Maybe like a handful of forms. Can't think of any insurance forms off the top of my head because I don't want to put anyone to sleep. Deco would be interesting as well, wouldn't it? I would expect that the kind of main body element to be the secondary, and then have maybe another secondary bullet belt over him, or a molded bullet belt on the secondary already would kind of work, wouldn't it? I suppose that's that would be the easier one to do, I think, from a design standpoint and tooling as well.
I'd like to see him do both separate. I mean, it probably depends on cost, but yeah, if they could do like the vest and the bullet belt on top of it, as long as it doesn't look too clunky, I think that'd be the best way to handle it.
I would actually be happy with what they're doing with rock and roll, where you think you've got a secondary where it is the bullet belts, but then there's another bullet belt that's just a full strip that you can use on the actual gun. And I think that would be pretty cool. Like, have the bullet belt going in that giant rifle of his would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then you've already got it tooled because it's already there with rock and roll. So
true.
Yeah.
Well, that's another question though. Like, what is the bullet belt for? Is it really for the gun that he has? Because his gun takes magazines.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Not interested in the actual mechanics of reality here. We are talking G.I. Joe. This guy's going to get as many bullet belts as he wants, and he's going to use them as belts. It's like
it's a fashion statement. It's just to be intimidating. It's not really for use.
They're actually filled with little nuggets.
Belt.
They're little cat food nuggets for Max. Is what they are. They look like bullets, but he just like pops them off. And you got to do something to keep the bobcat under control. Those things are nuts.
Have you ever seen that video of a bobcat jumping across a lake in the snow?
Dude, when I worked, the last job I worked at, we had a bobcat in our parking lot. We had to call the police that had to unfortunately dispatch it. But it was a crazed, this thing was the size of a decent dog, prowling in our parking lot, and Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy times.
So you called Law and Order to deal with
we called Law
Spearhead
and Order
Max.
to handle the Bobcat, and
Aww.
and one of the Law and Order gentlemen got not attacked, but the thing lunged at him, and they had to do what they had to do.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was brutal.
That's the worst story you've ever told. And
I'm sorry.
I think maybe it was rabid. I mean,
something was clearly wrong with it.
Probably something wrong with it. Yeah.
It was a parking lot. We were in this office park, is where we worked, and it just like came in and was like wandering around between the cars out in the parking lot.
A battle cat.
Yeah,
this thing was. Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's
scary.
Sad. But
yeah,
also,
sorry, I just brought
crazy.
the whole show down.
Yeah, you just ruined everything. Thanks very much. Spearhead is now completely cancelled because it's not coming out now because of that story Justin just told. Night Force as well. That would be beautiful to get a painted Max, wouldn't it? Like a literally, sorry Max, we're going to literally paint you to make you fit with Night Force now. And he's like, what? Why can't I just be the same? Why do you have to paint me? Anyway, that would be great. In terms of
one thing that I'm sorry, I don't mean to go back to the
Not
Spirit Max thing, but one thing I'd like them to do is, the card out deco for Max is obviously a lot more detailed. It's got like the spots and the texture and stuff like that. I'd love them to do that in the classified version.
Oh,
so
they
it was
would.
the flat orange. It'd have to be all that cool, realistic deco.
I could imagine them doing something like with Fiona, they've got that phasing color where it goes from green to like the white underbelly. Like, they'll do something cool. I reckon if they do that, that'd be so cool. I feel like Mutt and Junkyard are a pretty solid. That's probably going to happen. Law and Order, I could probably put up there too, is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you start getting to the point where it's like, I think Spearhead and Max, honestly, for the Joes, is probably the next one down in terms of like animal companions. I can't really think of any others that are that high up the list. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Freedom, Polly.
Yeah.
They've already been done.
Oh, okay. I thought that you were just saying, like, as far as the top animals, but
no,
you're talking about ones that haven't been done.
Yeah, I'm talking about like what they could do in the classified series. Like I feel like I was saying, Mutt and Junkyard feels like that's going to happen like sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Same with Law and Order. I feel like they'd be high up on the list. And then as you go down, I can't see anyone above Spearhead and Max in that hierarchy that hasn't already been done yet.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
Let us know in the comments if we're missing something there, because I can't think of any.
You're talking Joe team only though, too, not Cobras.
Yeah,
100%. Obviously, there's Raptor.
Yeah.
Voltar and Spearhead are probably on the same level for me in terms of like where they would come in.
1988.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think Raptor's probably ahead of those. I think who else?
Do you think that this is an area maybe where in the G.I. Joe line, like in the later years, they really lacked? Like they didn't introduce like a lot of animals at all. Like there was a couple releases of Junkyard, but
Wide Scope and
when they redid Spirit, he didn't have Freedom.
Yeah, that's true. True. Yeah, I mean,
so it just
even some of those later Snake Eyes didn't come with Timber. I mean,
right. If they had redone a Timber with one of those versions of Snake Eyes, instant sale, you know?
Yeah.
I can remember walking into the store in 1984 and seeing the animal companions and being like, my mind was blown. I had to have those figures. And I think that was a sure way of getting a set to sell, but they didn't do it. It's weird.
You throw a smaller collectible in with a figure, and it's instant sale for me too. Like if I saw the mini vehicle or a mini figure or an animal companion, it's 100%. It's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Hydro Viper is another one. I think Hydro Viper would probably be above. Hydro Viper and Raptor are probably up there quite high. And then, for me anyway, Hydro Viper, I don't know, probably on the same level as Spearhead and Voltar, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
think
not in my opinion.
Might help it. But...
Yeah. Not in my opinion, but in like the general consensus. Anyway.
Maybe, but, Max is kind of a named character, though, too.
Yes.
Yeah, more than Hydro Viper's Devil Ray. So I would think Max is a little bit edges that out for that reason. But like you said, Night Force, that's going to be one of the main reasons why we did it.
I'm so glad they did. And also that deco is gorgeous, the Night Force one. Absolutely beautiful. And I think that just that teal in there as well just really sets it off. just beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they could do that now, that'd be great. Right then, next up is moi, and I have gone. Well, you see, this is the thing, right? When I first approached the lads that are on the screen right now about this, I said to them, I said, okay, I want you guys to just choose and just tell me what you're going to do, because I don't want to keep taking. I don't want to take anything from them. Unfortunately, Pat takes something from me every single time. But
you didn't pick Spearhead, did you?
Well, Spearhead and Max was the one I was thinking of initially, right? And I'm thinking,
okay.
And I was like, right, I'll do Spearhead and Max unless Pat wants that, because I know he's probably going to want that. Like, no, actually, I thought you were going to go Mutton Junkyard, right? And Justin, I didn't know where you were going to go, so I kind of put it out there to see what I was putting the feelers out there. And Spearhead and Max was on my mind, but I also had another one under my sleeve, and up my sleeve is the term, not under it. Just there, just under my sleeve. But the one I had, I think, eventually grew on me more and more. That I was like, do you know what? I want that more than I want Spearhead and Max. But I'm glad you chose it, actually, Pat, because we allowed us to talk about it, so that's great. Mine, however, is ridiculous, bonkers, and amazing, and it's Deep Six and Finback. Now, the reason I went with these lads is because, for one, it gets us into another phase that I think kind of has to happen at some point with the classified line, and that is Eco Warriors. It doesn't have to happen now, but I'd like it to happen sooner rather than later. And I think in terms of animal companions, you can't beat a bloody dolphin that's also almost became like a killer whale as well. Like, that's another kind of cute thing about it, is that repaint scenario down the line, I don't know how much you could make a dolphin look like a little killer whale in the classified series.
It might have worked for a little G.I. Joe figure. I'm not sure a 6-inch classified figure would pass muster, but
exactly.
Hey, you never know.
But you could just, deco it anyway. It's like it's in a different sub team, so it has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the underwater killing team now, so it has to be a killer whale. Anyway, I just think this is adorable. I think it's, for one, the figure is absolutely incredible in terms of like deco and design. Because I think it took Deep Six and like ramped it up 1,000%. So you had the original Deep Six, which was like this big, just huge chunk of plastic. Then you had the Deep Six that I really love, the kind of almost retro future diving style with that, with what, just I don't know why they went with it, but I'm so glad they did go with it. And then obviously, repaints aside, you get this incredible leap into Eco Warriors, which, again, the deco is like incredibly vibrant, but the design is cool too. Like if you take the color out of it, and you just had, and maybe you went with like a more kind of, I don't know, like expected, subdued kind of color palette, the sculpt is actually really awesome. It's got like, hoses and like kind of straps and pouches and all sorts of kind of stuff, and it just looks really cool. And then you throw in the flippers. The helmet is awesome too, like with the kind of like whole front sections as that kind of transparent. And I think that would look so good in the classified series. Like they could do a really good job with that, and maybe even like have the whole helmet come off too, so that that the head could be that kind of you could see all the depth to the face under the actual mask. I think that would be kind of cool. And they could make it slightly bigger, to make it like cooler, maybe design it a little bit kind of slightly different and updated, to kind of make it so that it could be big and bulky and stupid, but not like affect the fact that the head's got to go underneath this. Do you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't have to compromise by making like a slightly smaller head and a bigger helmet. They could just go, well, we're just going to design it on a more realistic, bigger scale. So I think that would be kind of cool. And obviously you've got Finback. Now, in terms, I was kind of racking my head, racking my brain. Sorry, I don't know why I keep changing the famous sayings, but I'm doing it a lot at the moment, for the articulation. And I was going back and forth between having like a more rubbery kind of feeling kind of animal, or having articulation, because you can make it's going to be a good size. It's going to be big, and if it's just one lump, I'm not sure how classified that is. Like, I could imagine them having like some tail articulation, some fin articulation, and then obviously the mouth opening up and down. But then, would you need to have like a couple of splits in the midsection? Because it's not like dolphins have lines in them; they are like smooth. So I don't know how like that would work. And it obviously, from a classified point of view, they'd probably be like, yeah, we're just not going to do it, because that would be the easy way round, wouldn't it? I don't think people would be upset to not see fin back. I would love to see them, but I'm also probably not going to be holding out that this is going to be happening. But what do you guys think on that? We'll start with the articulation comment first. How would you do it?
I mean, personally, I know, and of course, my mind always goes back to Sigma 6. There was the unreleased shark that was supposed to come with the canceled Adventure Team wetsuit.
Yeah.
And it had some of that unique kind of mid-torso joint and the tail articulation, which I think worked really well. You know, obviously, Sigma 6 is a different aesthetic, so I think you can kind of get away with some more exaggerated proportions with the animals. So I think it worked really well for that. I'm not sure how well that would work for Finback. I would love to see them give it a shot, though. I'm with you. I think just including a big chunk of dolphin-shaped rubber isn't really what collectors are looking for. So I think but I have faith. I mean, what Classified has shown us so far is they have the ability to kind of think outside the box with how they make this stuff work. So I'd love to see them try to mirror some kind of articulation while still maintaining that dolphin kind of smooth exterior. I think they could do it.
I think if they did make it rubbery, at least you'd get the skin feel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you get the actual feel of what a dolphin might feel like, that kind of smooth. Because I'm always rubbing dolphins, like I know exactly what they feel like. Pat,
is that what they call it over in England? Rubbing your dolphin?
Who wants that skin feel?
Oh my goodness!
Don't we all?
I'm just gonna have a quick fin back. Pat, how would you make it move? I'd tickle its bunghole. What?
Yeah, I think that the flippers and the tail obviously could move, and the mouth could open for sure. I think that you could do that. Whether or not any other part of it bends, I don't know. I do think that you probably could add articulation and people would not complain. I really do think that if there was a bit of a cut, if you did some of that, like one of those things where it overlaps a bit, kind of hide it to make it a small line, not like a big gap between two parts, but like just a small encased tail or something maybe near the fin to make it feel like it actually kind of belongs there. I think that you could articulate it. I don't think that I would want a big hunk of plastic. So really what I think that we're talking about here is the main body either being a soft plastic over a flexible skeleton, or it being, because I don't think a wire makes a lot of sense. I don't think that I would want that, because those never quite bend back to the right spot. I mean, they've done those recently with I think Lizard in the Spider-Man line has the wired tail. So like they've definitely, Hasbro has done, you know, the whole internal wire kind of thing.
Fiona has a kind of malleable tail as well. To a certain point, when you get to the actual end of the tail, like, you know, to the point of the base of the tail, it becomes like is
there a wire in there that I didn't notice?
I imagine so, but because you can move it and flex it into positions and then move it back. It's not like super like.
Maybe I just didn't notice because I didn't bend that around. I just kind of left it alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you can tell who plays with their toys and who doesn't.
Who doesn't? Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, the Classified line has been. Whenever you get it all at once, it's kind of hard to really actually visit a specific figure. But,
Pat,
Chris has been getting his a little more in advance than some of us.
How dare you? My Crocmaster is literally right next to me, and I've hardly touched the bloody thing. But whenever I do an unboxing, I go through all that stuff anyway. So yeah, that's where it's happened. But yeah, it's nuts at the moment because I was really excited yesterday. I thought I'll go home after work and I'll play with Dusty Zorana. I didn't know it was you. And Crimson Guard. My favourite of the three. And I got home and I had loads of work to do, did all the video stuff, and then was like, right, I'm going to bed now. And I didn't bloody touch them. And it's driving me mad because they're right there and I can't even blooming touch them. Anyway, those are great figures, by the way. I've really been enjoying those. The Crimson Guard, man. So happy with the Crimson Guard.
Fantastic, yeah.
The helmet sculpt on that Crimson Guard's outstanding.
It's not even just
it really is.
There's so much about it. Like, it's chunky. There's a real
It's one of those
to
figures that you kind of just get in your hand and it just feels right. Like, it feels like it's got great construction, great articulation.
Yep.
it's a home run all around.
The backpack confuses me. What is that bit at the bottom of it?
Oh, that I haven't worked out yet. Nothing. Probably
Okay.
just I think just design detail. But you might I don't know. I was kind of thinking maybe the rifle kind of fits in there and hangs, but it doesn't.
Not really.
I can't. There's nothing seems to kind of go on there. Maybe I'll ask the team and see what they say. I'll ask the people that designed it and see what they say. They'll just be like,
go walk down the hall and knock on somebody's door.
Yeah, I'll just hang on. I'll be right back.
There might have been another accessory, is what I almost suspect, that there may have been something else.
Yeah, that might have cost it down.
Like a pouch that would have glued in there or something. You know, maybe they got rid of. I don't know.
They were probably watching one of our episodes.
Extra.
They were probably watching one of our episodes where we cost everything out. And they were like, yeah,
right.
let's get rid of that.
It's your fault. You probably were like, get rid of it.
My bad. Sorry.
Well, the team will be like, don't you remember? You told us that he didn't need that other thing.
You said it on the video that you and Justin and Pat did. Amazing. Right. So that's mine. Deep Six and Finback. I know mine is it's a lofty idea. I don't think that's one they're going to jump into soon. But I do think they relish the fact, or they relish the thought, and I know this for a fact, because they've said this on streams as well, that they really enjoy doing the bigger animals because it really gives them an opportunity to kind of like let loose and try some new things. Timber was a home run. Fiona was a home run. Like the only thing I would say, like Freed, when it gets to the smaller ones, I think that's where it gets more complicated, because I don't think Freedom is great until you get to the feet, and then it's like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if the feet had been done a little bit, like, or the legs, I should say, if they'd been done on ball socket joints, I think that would have been fine. But the fact they're kind of, they're like on, like, you know, they can only really do that. Mm-hmm. And yes,
they have the pegs.
And you can twist the feet and everything, that's fine. But yeah, I think there's definitely some improvements that could be made on Freedom. But the wings and the body and the head, gorgeous. And Polly as well, like very, very small now, so it's minimized. It's just effectively just a statue, which again is, you know, I think they could have maybe made it a little closer to Freedom in terms of size, because Polly could be a bit bigger. You know, there are big parakeets out there, so parrots or whatever you want to call the kind of parrot that she is. But yeah, but when it comes to like Fiona and Timber, when they've got that space to operate in. I'd love to see a Finback, honestly. I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think that there would be a chance at getting the one in black as well as the standard one?
Yes, because they'd want to reuse it. Like, you know, like Timber's been reused twice, right?
Yeah.
Fiona is got to be done again when they do Python Patrol Crocmaster, because I mean that has to happen. I don't. Why would they not use that unique tooling again? Do you know what I mean? There's so much unique tooling there that has to be used again. Crocmaster, Python Patrol, no brainer. Red Fiona, come on, absolutely outstanding. So yeah, I think they would absolutely do it, and I think they wouldn't care that it looked nothing like a killer whale.
Well, I don't think it's really supposed to.
Okay.
I think that fans call that one the Killer Whale Deep Six just because that's what we call it.
Yeah.
But like, if you look at the earlier art for it, which has been in the Joe Declassified booth, and I think that Dan Klingensmith has it in one of his new books that just shipped.
Oh, nice.
The early art actually is of an orca. It's not of a dolphin.
Right.
So I think that may be why there's the black one in there, but there are black dolphins in the real world too.
Whoa, Pat, come on. Let's not make this about race, okay? Let's not make this about race underwater. I'm just kidding. Yeah, black dolphins.
There's both gray and black dolphins, and you could do a black dolphin.
I'm 100% in. You had me at Black Dolphin, and now it's happening. So I'll make the call, and Finback 2, this time it's personal, will happen. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, of course they would, because again, unique tooling, you're not going to just let it sit there and you're going to get the most out of it. And I think, like I said, with Crocmaster, it's almost inevitable. I don't think like soon, but definitely inevitable. And if they were ever to do Deep Six in this style, I think I've got a funny feeling if they do Deep Six, they'd probably delve into a previous style first. I think we'd probably see version 1.
Yeah.
And definitely in a more... maybe that could be like, you know, the deluxe figure, because he comes with this bodysuit that he can get into. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like Snake armor, but for Deep Six's armor.
Exactly what I would want. Yeah.
And that would be dope. That's another thing we can talk about. We'll talk about that in another January, guys. We've got January to come, and just in 6th in a row. Awesome. Okay. Well, that is our choices. Those are our choices, the correct way to say it. Those are our choices for the G.I. Joe Animal Companions. Let us know in the comments who you would want to see in the Classified series as an Animal Companion duo from the G.I. Joe team. And also let us know how we fared on what do you think about our choices. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you hate us? Which one of us do you hate the most? We'll be putting a poll out very soon about which one of us you hate the most. I feel like I've got I think I've got probably the biggest chance of getting high scores on that one, guys. What do you think? Pat, who's the
lovable, Chris? What are you talking about?
Who's the most hated out of the three of us? Pat?
I think me, because I'm the one who's like, I'm not as into Classified as much as I used to be.
So you'll probably be loved in that case, because that's how it works. Justin, who's the most hated out of the three of us?
So I was going to say it would be me, because I mean, you guys are in the weeklies every week, and Chris, you're just a lovable Brit who's so friendly, and
there's a lot.
You do have the accent, and that's definitely not that we don't have our own accents. That's how you see it, but yours is working for you here in the US, I'm sure.
Okay, well, I'll take that, but I'm pretty sure. Again, let us know in the comments, guys. Who do you hate the most? I'm just kidding. Don't do
That's
that.
a healthy. It's gonna be a healthy YouTube comment section to check out.
The funny thing is, even though I'm joking, I know people are gonna pile in on that. It's crazy.
And I'm gonna feel sad whenever I win the most hated person.
Pat,
everybody just needs to vote for Naked HD. That's the answer.
It's a new one now. It's 69 mega, by the way, is the new. That's the new spam.
Oh, really?
But you knew that.
I wouldn't know, because it's not me.
Lies. Right, let's get on to the next topic, which is, in actual fact, version therapy. We need therapy after this, don't we?
Exactly.
We're going to need therapy after the tirade of hatred that's going to flow in. I am just joking, guys. And, of course, do not tell us who you hate the most. That's a horrible thing to do, even though you are going to do it, and it's fine. Right, hey there guys, just wanted to let you know about an app that I've been helping to develop for a few years now called Hoardar. But what is Hoardar, I hear you scream? Well, a number of years ago I discussed a project with a good friend of mine and now co-owner/developer about an app that could help collectors of all shapes and sizes. I'm talking about the shapes and sizes of the collections really, but also people. The app would be a place where you could share your new items, build collections and sub-collections, or just browse the feed to see cool things. Well, we made it. We tested it for a number of years, and now it's out there for you to enjoy on iOS or Android devices. You can upload a single item at a time at your own pace and slowly build your collections. You can post status updates that could be related to your collections, like getting a delivery or posting a scene in which you can tag items in that image if you've uploaded them in the past. You can add tags to your items in order to easily search for and find them, and of course to add them into your respective collections. You can like posts, comment on them, or start a conversation with a fellow collector, directly message users you follow, and even add items you see on your feed to your want list. If you prefer to use your computer or laptop, have no fear, you can use the website browser version and even utilise the awesome inventory option, allowing any user to change certain details, add notes, upload bulk items from spreadsheet files and download a CSV of your entire itemised collection. We made this app for collectors and we hope that you enjoy using it as much as we enjoyed creating it. Now get to hoarding. Continuing with our regular monthly segment now, Version Therapy, which is where we choose a single G.I. Joe or Cobra character and have a discussion on what action figure version is their best, or our favourite, really is how I should put that. Now, of course, we're all probably going to have different opinions on this based on when we were born, personal experience and so on, but that's where the fun lies. Feel free to let us know who your favourite action figure version is and why in the comments below as well. So who have we got next? Last month we looked at Crocmaster due to the fact that we were discussing Cobra Animal Companions, so it's only obvious that we flip that to the Joes this time and discuss our favourite versions of Mutt and Junkyard. Right then, lads, we'll start again. We come back around to Justin, who's been waiting patiently while Pat and I have just been talking the whole time. I'm just kidding. Justin, Mutt and Junkyard, take us through a little bit of background of you and Mutt and Junkyard, how you guys met.
I knew him back in Jersey when he was Stanley Perlmutter or whatever his name is.
I have got such a fun story for you guys about Stanley Perlmutter.
Oh, beautiful.
It's not that fun.
No, I mean, Mutt and Junkyard's one of those characters that's been kind of relative constant throughout much of the vintage line, especially. I mean, he appeared here and there throughout the modern line too. But I was surprised when Chris wanted to do this version therapy, and I started digging into all the different versions of Mutt and Junkyard, and he was littered throughout convention exclusives and Toys R Us exclusives in the early 2000s. He was pretty prevalent. But the one I really want to focus on is the 1992 DEF release, and there's a couple different reasons for that. I love the Drug Elimination Force. I mean, I don't really know why. I think part of it was a sense of nostalgia.
Because you love drugs so much.
Because I love drugs, yeah, exactly. But I think and I think it came out in '92, so it was pre-internet. You didn't always know what was coming. I remember going in, I think it was like a Kmart or something like that. I went in and just happened to see these Drug Elimination Force figures on the shelf. I didn't have any idea that they were on the way. I was a huge fan of Miami Vice, when it was on from, I think it was like 85 to 90 or 89 or something like that. So it ended its 5-year run just a little ways before DEF got released. And so, that was kind of still fresh in my mind, and just something about this whole sub-team really appealed to me. I loved Bulletproof. He was a great character. I loved that they took Cutter, who was a hovercraft driver, and kind of retrofitted him into
Coast Guard, wasn't it?
Yeah, Coast Guard, exactly.
Yeah.
And Shockwave. While I prefer the 88 version to the Drug Elimination Force version, I like that they kind of collected all of these characters into a single sub-team. But Mutt and Junkyard really kind of shone on me for a few different reasons. I mean, the color scheme is good. It looks like, I really love the dark blue of his vest, but it's not in your face neon or anything like that. For whatever reason, I love his net launcher. This spring-loaded double missile thing that fires the net is
unreal.
Just so much fun, and that's what I liked, when G.I. Joe, because you got to the point in the 90s where they wanted to introduce play features into the figures, and I was like, I would much rather them give us a spring-loaded weapon than mess with the figure articulation like Ninja Force or Power Brigade or what have you.
Agreed.
And this one just happened to work really well. If you could position it right and put the figure close enough, it would really kind of launch that net out and
it's also
in it or whatever.
It feels appropriate and personal to the character too. Some of them just got rocket launchers, and it was just like, why? Yeah. But then some people got, like you say, this rocket net launcher thing, which is just awesome.
Yeah. I liked that a lot. And obviously, there's all the little details too. Like if you look in sort of his upper shoulder level, he's got a couple dog biscuits in his vest. I mean, it's just all these little details that are just really fantastic.
How have I never noticed that before?
Oh yeah. It's
on his right. Black dog biscuits.
Yeah, they're black, but if you look at the card art, you can tell even more that they're either bones or biscuits or whatever.
Looks like a Flintstones character in the card art because of those. But no, that is funny because that's two things on the show. We're looking at card art. Never noticed Spearhead's knife on the card art in my life, and I've never noticed the dog biscuits. That has just put this. Okay, I'm changing my choice. It's DEF Mutt. Carry on, Justin.
But yeah, I mean, from the sub team, I mean, the whole angle with the DEF, which I love, the color scheme being, I really enjoy the brightness of certain colors without being too
the green.
neon.
The green's nice.
Yeah, the green and the brown and the blue just are, it's an all a great combination. You know, the net launcher and you know, just the character itself is just, it all really came together to really give me what I considered sort of the definitive version of this character.
Was it the same junkyard? Was it?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's what I was. That's what I was under the impression of. It was the same one as the original
same
one.
exact tooling for sure. I don't remember if they added any paint spray or anything like that, or took any away. But it's the same.
Yeah, the spray was taken away.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Brown,
interesting. But then again, like in that era, there wouldn't be any reason to change the character because he's the same. So like, giving them a different deco or less deco, I can kind of understand that a little bit. That's so cool, mate. Again, this is another one where I'd love to see this released in the line. I know this isn't we're not talking about classified necessarily. This is more about our favorite versions, but I'd love to see this one revisited, just for that card art again.
I'd love for them to do a whole DEF sub team in classified. And just thinking about a 6-inch Headhunter Stormtrooper, and I'm just like, those figures are so amazing.
Yeah, you want it just for the drug dealer team. That's what you want it for.
Exactly. Yeah.
Disgusting.
I need my hookup.
And the Shark 9000.
They should come with like little bags of cocaine.
I imagine it's eliminating drugs if you just use them all, right?
There you go. I'm contributing to the cause.
This was Pat's argument in court the other day, by the sounds of it. Instead of 2 dog biscuits, there you could have 2 bags of cocaine sellotaped to his shirt. I can't get over the dog biscuits, and I can't believe I've never noticed it before. And I feel like my whole life has changed in seeing this.
You know what I've never really noticed before about the art?
Go on.
Is that his right arm has a rolled up sleeve instead of like a leather protection on it as the figure does.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Also didn't know. Well, mainly because Junkyard's in the way, so I can't really see that part of the arm as clear. But yeah, are you looking at one that's had the
if
figure
you look
removed?
at the image on his file card, you can kind of see it more clearly. If you can get a large image of the file card.
I'm on it.
Yo Joe has a picture of the card back. Yeah. That it's not torn or anything. But yeah, isn't that weird? That's probably why I haven't seen it actually.
I hadn't noticed that. Yeah, you're right.
It's pretty weird.
It is.
It'd be funny if there's a little number pointing to it, and on the card art it says, don't be stupid, guys. This is just his rolled up sleeve. It's always been this way. What are you talking about? That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it? And if it called the three of us out on the card on the file card, and we had no idea, it was like some sort of like we went back in time and did it. That would be weird. Anyway, Mutton Junk, great shout, mate. Absolutely great shout. Yeah. This is a stunning figure. Pat, what are your thoughts on Drug Elimination Force?
You know, I really had a hard time where you said to pick your favorite Mutt. I was tempted to pick this one myself. I think that it's a great choice. I loved this figure instantly whenever it came out. The dog bones were, I thought, a really fun detail. And the other thing that's a little strange about this one is that it almost feels like the colors are inspired by the Slaughter's Marauders one, doesn't it? Like if you look at the figures next to each other, it has like that blue vest on both of them. And then this figure incorporates greens and browns. It feels a little bit like they were trying to call back to that Slaughter's Marauders color. It feels like it to me.
Totally. Yeah, really. That's a great point.
Yeah, I like it. This is a good choice. It was a great figure. And like you said, whenever they're going to do all of the launching mechanisms, whenever it got to the point where it was just, okay, you get a different looking launcher and there's a missile on the sprue, that's where it kind of stopped being interesting.
Yeah.
But the DEF stuff, which I'm sure we're supposed to be saying def, since that was such a popular term at the time, def. Anyway, that stuff, each one of them had kind of a different thing going for it. Like there was the grappling hook that launched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were a couple of missile launchers in there, but the fact that it could launch a net, that was just so much fun.
Inspired.
He's about capturing things rather than destroying them.
Yeah, it's inspired, and again, it kind of speaks to the character and what they're about. They're trapping. They're on the hunt for these, nefarious people who they're going to then take and run through the justice system. It's not like, they're not like, you know, just blowing shiz up all the time. Do you know what I mean? And like, I'm just going to take a rocket launcher to that warehouse full of, you know, bad guys. It's like, no, we're going to, you know, have like an appropriate... It almost feels a bit Cops to me as well. It feels like that would be something on someone's wrist. Do you know what I mean? Like that would be like one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Cops crossover. Bulletproof is another crossover. Mutton Junkyard, Bowser and Blitz is another, you know, crazy looking kind of crossover. And of course, the whole Beachhead connection with Checkpoint, I want to say. Is it? I think it is Checkpoint.
Yes.
Being like, was it the
son, right?
It's something the third grandson,
I think, or
grandson,
something like that.
It's the third, isn't it? Something the third, yeah.
The third,
Sneeden, that's it. That's what I'm trying to think of. I couldn't get blooming. Now I've lost that name as well. I had another name in my head, Kurt Schnurr. Couldn't get blooming Airtight's name out of my head. Right. Cool. That's a great shout, Justin. I love that DEF figure. And again, I think everything's kind of been said that we wanted to say about it. Some really good points in there. And yeah, first time I've really noticed when Pat mentioned about the Marauders deco and the dog bones, man, absolutely blew my mind. Can't believe that. Right, Pat, you're next, buddy. Take us through your choice.
Well, really, for me, it was a matter of wanting to either touch on that great update for Mutt, or to just go with the original, since the original stood out so well to me, and I went with the original Mutt.
Hey!
So I was talking earlier about how I remember walking into the store and seeing these, and I remember the specific chain it was. It was a Jamesway store.
Oh,
and they
Jamesway. Twice in a row you've mentioned Jamesway. Although
have I? Did I mention Jamesway last time, or was it Hills? I'm usually talking about Hills.
No, I had to find a picture of it. You literally mentioned James. We're probably talking about Mutton Junkyard, actually. Were we?
Maybe we were.
I think we were, yeah. Carry on.
This was such a key moment for me walking into the store. I remember seeing the 1983 stuff. That was at Montgomery Ward.
Yes.
It was the first time I saw those. And that was really mind-blowing because of the leap in detail and everything that they were doing with the toy line compared to 1982. But how do you top that? You walk into 1984 and you see Animal Companions now, and I see a G.I. Joe figure with a dog. I absolutely have to have that. And even if he didn't have the dog, look at the other accessories. His gun is pretty cool. It's interesting to me that the character of Mutt actually kind of is included. Like, I don't know what the mouth thing is supposed to be. I always kind of thought that it was supposed to be a muzzle for the human, which matches what his file card says about him. That he's, gets along better with animals, and, that he kind of behaves like an animal himself. So he's just all around a great figure, and I absolutely love him. This is a great one.
I have to agree on the muzzle thing, because I always just thought it was like to make him look cool, like a rebreather or something like that, or just like a mask. No, he's wearing a muzzle. It's so random, but it didn't stand out as weird at the time. I'm not sure if it did for you guys. I'm not sure if you're looking at it and you kind of go in, no, that doesn't look right. You don't know. It just works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
at the time I must have thought that it was just some sort of equipment, because as a kid you're seeing all this G.I. Joe stuff, and at the same time you're learning what it really is. It just looks cool to you. It really is just kind of using all the bits of military history and real world stuff, and sometimes not military stuff, just imagined things and putting them in this world. And you know what? The helmet that he comes with, too, also being kind of adapted from that 1982, is really a great one. And I do think that I kind of wish that the mask would have just plugged into the holes in the side of the variant helmet. Earlier ones had holes in it. If it would have plugged in there rather than having the giant strap in the back, I do think that would have been an improvement. But I love the figure as he is. It's such a good one.
Yeah, definitely. And the little nightstick with the little loop as well to go around the wrist was kind of cool as well. Again, you could, all of these things in a classified sense would be brilliant, and I think we can expect this one in the future. Sorry to keep coming back to that, but I just that's where my head goes.
No, I agree. That's why I kind of skipped him and went with Spearhead and Max, was because I just kind of figure I think we can assume that we're getting Mutt and Junkyard. He's such a classic that I agree. We should get him. If
it's ever been on the Sunbow cartoon, then it's probably going to happen at some point. Yeah, Justin, what are your thoughts on Mutt and Junkyard?
I mean, he's a classic, you know. I mean, I love, as Pat mentioned, his other accessories even beyond Junkyard himself. I love that the leash was sort of the soft, really flexible material. That was a really nice touch. I love his silenced submachine gun. I think that was one of my favorite weapons back in the day. And he's a timeless character, you know. I mean, like you said, he appeared throughout the Sunbow animated series. He had some pretty key moments in the comic as well. I just love the attitude that Larry gives him on the file card. You can't go wrong. And really just look at his sculpt. I mean, even if you didn't read the file card, you look at that face sculpt and he looks like somebody would bite your leg off if you did something wrong. So I think it's just it really came together with Mutt. Mutt is he's an interesting character, and this version of him is interesting too, in that I think lots of people would expect him to appear in the classified line, but I suspect if you ask people to name 20 figures they wouldn't mention him. But when you talk about him, then it's like, it seems evident. He's one of those kind of probably tier B characters that isn't one of the like big splashy ones, but is certainly a constant throughout every year of G.I. Joe history.
Totally. One thing I will mention as an honourable mention is obviously the Slaughter's Marauders version. Am I right in saying he gets a different helmet with the Slaughter's Marauders one? Like, he doesn't have the goggles, does he?
Yeah, that's right. It's just a standard 82 helmet.
Yeah, I found that kind of interesting. But also, like, I really did love that version too. And that isn't my choice, though. My choice is connected quite strongly, though, to Pat's version 1. And that is the 1991 G.I. Joe carded, but UK and Europe exclusive Mutt. And now there's a reason for this, and it's because this was the one I had as a kid. So my Stanley Perlmutter story is not really a story at all, nor is it funny or interesting. It's just the fact that in the UK, you know what we do? I think Mutt and Junkyard actually came out in the Palatoy era in '85. I want to say. I think we got Mutt and Junkyard on card, Palatoy, back then in '85. But my first one was this. This was my first Mutt, and it was effectively a repaint of the version 1. It had the goggled helmet. It had the face mask. Obviously, it had all the same accessories. Junkyard, obviously, as well, but was in a completely different deco, and even got specifically different art. Even though it's effectively a copy of the original, it's you can tell it's new and different. And it was in that kind of style that was happening a lot in Europe and the UK, where it's almost like a little bit more simplified in its kind of painting. I'm sure you can see the card on the slideshow I'm showing you guys at the moment. If you were to kind of skip between version 1 and version 2, for a start, it's like the Marauders version where it's flipped horizontally. So you're looking at the kind of mirror image of the pose and the position. And on top of that, it's got this kind of like very quick, almost like what's the painting term? There's a style, and I can't even think of what it is. It kind of looks like a watercolor in effect, you know, where it's a little bit scratchy and not like perfect. But again, I really like it. I like the vibe of it, and it still looks really nice and cool. But the deco for me on this figure was outstanding. This kind of like browny green undershirt, black vest, like navy kind of blue pants with like black kind of accents on there with the knee pads and the boots and everything. And then it's all tied in and tied together with this theme of this like bright blue, which is on the undershirt, I think the handle of the knife, the belt, the kind of the dog glove, the kind of dog handling glove, and the belt and the thigh strap for the holster for the molded pistol is in this kind of bright blue. And I was talking to you guys about this beforehand, before we started recording, and how in Europe and the UK that blue comes out so often. It comes up in the exclusive Tiger Force figures, like all the time. It does come up quite often with UK and European exclusive figures. And I thought that was quite an interesting point. And we were trying to figure out, maybe there was like, you know, that was like a colour they had at hand, you know, in the factory. And it was one that they, you know, it was easy to kind of utilise and, yeah, get it on there, cost effective, all that kind of stuff. But it does tie in those figures quite nicely. If you see that colour, it's usually a European exclusive, basically. Yeah, so and this was my first Mutt, so this is what my exposure to the character was, really, as an action figure, not as a character. As a character, I'd seen him on the cartoon a bunch of times, and in the comics. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that, of course, being the UK exclusive and European, they changed the aspects of the file card, including his name. So he was what, Stanley Perlmutter in the US, which I think is hilarious. It's such a Marvel thing, in my opinion, isn't it? Where they have like a name that relates to their special power or their you know, their whatever it might be. And the fact that Mutt has Mutter in his name, I mean, come on, just brilliant. I love that. I think it's great. But
like Major Blood's name is Sebastian Blood. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Well, our name was Andrew Mackenzie. Don't ask. And also, they changed his birthplace. Was it New Jersey in the US?
Yeah.
Yeah. Glasgow, Scotland, for our one. And he is a proper ginger-haired. They even gave him ginger hair to make him more Scottish. Isn't that amazing?
That is pretty cool.
Isn't that amazing? I'll flash a picture up. I'm sure you guys have seen that picture of him without the helmet. But yeah, he's got a ginger tash and a ginger hair and ginger eyebrows as well. So I just thought that was amazing. I didn't check to see if they made any major changes on the file card in the actual file card, but I'm sure there's some things in there that I'm just not noticing.
Bite people's legs off.
Mutt had 5 dogs while growing up. He had a particular knack for training them to obey his every command. Once, when a prowler tried to break into his family's home, Mutt ordered his dogs not to bark as they surrounded and contained the would-be thief. The dogs did what they were told, and the culprit was later arrested by the police. Now that's control. When he was older, Mutt enlisted in the army, where after boot camp he was scooped up by the G.I. Joe's Canine Battalion. He is presently assigned to the G.I. Joe's Special Dog Training Unit for duty as the unit's animal control and utilization technician. I've never seen a guy display more control over man's best friend. Whatever he says they do, he has trained them to never retreat unless ordered to do so. In fact, Mutt supervised an operation where his dogs chased 3 Cobra agents for 5 miles before he ordered them back. Is that blind obedience or loyalty? We're still trying to figure that out. That's different, isn't it?
That's very different, yeah.
Yeah, it's very different.
Nice.
It is a different person. So maybe it's like a breaker and breaker kind of situation. So it's may actually be a separate character. What's Junkyard doing with a different guy?
Yeah.
So, well, he's gray though, so maybe he's gotten old, or
it's a different one.
Junkyard.
Yeah.
He's a different Junkyard.
Well, I'm trying to think what we call junkyards in this country. In the United Kingdom. What do we call? Put it in the comments. I've completely forgotten. We definitely call them something like. What do we call them? No, like waste disposal facility, something boring like that. But no, they call I had it then. I've been in this country too long. I've forgotten words I used so often. The tip. We call it the tip, by the way.
Just the tip?
Just the tip.
That makes no sense.
You're making that up.
No,
you're going to get us to say that.
I just wanted you to say just the tip. No, straight up. We call it the tip. And
I need to bring the rubbish to the tip.
Exactly. There you go. That's exactly what I would have said 7 or 8 years ago. But not anymore. Now I say the trash to the blooming scrapyard or the junkyard. No, yeah, yeah, we call it the tip.
We just call it the dump.
Dump is another one I think we've utilised before.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another word for a scrapyard or a junkyard, and there is one, and I can't. Sorry, I've just completely blanked. let us know, UK people, let us know in the comments. If anyone from the UK watches this, you probably hate it now because I've gone full American now, guys. That's what's happened. Anyway, that's my favourite. And genuinely is my favourite because I think deco-wise, I love that colour scheme on him.
Blue is amazing. Yeah, I mean, I kind of had a vague memory of what he looked like, but then the pictures just brought it all back. And yeah, that blue on his glove and the thigh strap, I love it. I love that bright blue. It's like you said, it's littered throughout a bunch of the UK exclusives, and I really like that color a lot.
Yeah, big fan of that one. And I agree with you, Pat, about the thing that ties in at the back, like the kind of like old school little connector that's a bit too big and bulky. You'd rather have it on the, you know, clip to the mask kind of style, like a blaster.
Yeah, if possible. He just kind of has the ones that peg in this way.
Yeah.
I kind of think that between Mutt and Ripcord and Blowtorch all having that early variation where they did have holes in the helmet, that kind of implies that maybe at some point they were thinking about making the masks actually clip in instead of, you know, strap on.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's our version therapy. You'll have to also let us know who your favourite Mutt and Junkyard combination is in the comments below. There's quite a few of them actually, and I'll tell you what, some cracking repaints of Mutt in that list as well, and some really interesting redesigns too. I think we're going to have to do an episode, aren't we, on version 2s or updates to characters, because I think that would be a good one to talk about, where we talk about our favourite, like, you know, where you've got a character and you love that character, but then they do a version of it, an update, and it's like blows your mind.
You're essentially just forcing me to not choose the version 1. Is what it will be an episode of.
Yep.
Pat, what do you like other than the first one?
I'm also fully expecting you to make the decision to choose the one I'm going to choose.
Oh yeah, I'm going to do it.
You know,
I think we need to say right now, though, no Snake Eyes allowed. Snake Eyes is kind of the gimme, so I would think we got to take him out of the equation.
We can definitely.
Or we could do best versions after the original run. You know, like only anything 1997 and up.
But we do that. Oh no, that's a good idea. Yeah, like after the vintage era. Yeah, like best since vintage is a good one. Yeah, we'll do that definitely.
Good, yeah, I like that too.
I'll make a note of that. Best since vintage, and also our favorite updates of characters. I'll call it updates because it doesn't have to be version 2. It could be version 5 or version 6.
It doesn't even have to be a figure. It could be a version of a character that appeared only in a comic. You know.
I like that. Okay.
Very cool.
I genuinely do think you're going to pick the one I wanted to pick anyway, Pat, because it's always the one I think it's always the one we talk about when we talk about the characters updates kind of thing. And I'm not even going to say it because I know you're going to think it in any way. You're going to choose it anyway. But it's Stalker. Anyway, right. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you guys again. For everyone watching, like I said, in the comments below, let us know all of your favourites, or basically what you want to see in the classified series as a G.I. Joe and Animal Companion duo, and also your favourite Mutt and Junkyard version, and why. And we also want to know who you hate the most. Right, that no, we do not. I shouldn't have said it because I know it's going to be me anyway. Absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for jumping on and chatting with us again for this amazing run of. I can't believe Justin's been on this 5 times in a row.
No kidding. No kidding. I don't know who's luckier, me or you.
Does it feel that long?
Feels like we've been recording for 5 straight today alone.
And also,
just kidding. Just kidding. No, it's been good. It's good.
I do love these episodes. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
Pat, thank you very much, dude, for coming on. Can I expect you on tomorrow's weekly?
Yes. Well, the weekly that already happened from whenever this airs.
Yeah, yes. You don't think I'm going to get this edited in time?
No, I don't think so.
Because you're right. That is a very good point. Yeah, Pat, weekly tomorrow we'll be on it, and you'd have already seen that, guys, so that doesn't make any difference. Right, correct. We went back in time and we put ourselves in file cards. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you very much again. That brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for joining us for the Full Force Monthly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-hosts, Patrick Stewart and Justin Bell. See you next month. And as always, after 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we were all completely different on that, and that's brilliant.
Just how it should be.
It was like, I'll just say it when I want to say it. I'll say it. Don't tell me when I say this. I'm just going to say it randomly in the middle of the episode. Amazing. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force!